Will Illinois get a bailout, or will it go bankrupt? It seems that the central planners have failed once again, and this time it has become apparent in Illinois. The pension fund crisis has been exposed, and it will unfortunately result in civil unrest should the pensions not pay out. Are you ready? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to look at Illinois' collapse. Let's begin with this. Illinois has the worst personal income growth in the country over the Great Recession era. Personal income growth by state adjusted for inflation. Look at this. It's very clear. It might be hard for you to see with the font, but it is Illinois that is suffering more so than the rest. I want to show you some information related to Illinois, beginning with this. A financial crunch is spiraling into a serious problem for Illinois lawmakers, prompting some observers to wonder if the state might make history by becoming the first, congratulations, to be bankrupt, to go bankrupt. At the moment, it's impossible for a state to file for bankruptcy protection, which is only afforded to counties and municipalities like Detroit. Remember that not too long ago, Detroit entered into this state. Chapter 9 bankruptcy protection could be extended to states if Congress took up the issue. And then it goes on. And right here, last for this article, Moody's, the rating agencies, all right, they downgraded Illinois' general obligation bonds to its lowest investment grade rating, saying that it's got a lot of unpaid bills and, lo and behold, mounting pension deficits. So that's one of the things I want to focus on right here. Look at this. Unlike the city and county governments, states cannot legally declare bankruptcy as a means of shedding debt by forcing creditors, bondholders, and government retirees to absorb some of the losses. The last time this happened, 1933. During the Great Depression, Arkansas defaulted on its debt. So this is something that we need to pay attention to. The people of Illinois have no idea what could possibly hit them. Look, the pension programs, they also mention health insurance. Think about the cuts. Think about what could result from reforming, that's the word they use, the different social assistance programs, reforming pensions, anything. People are going to get pissed off. I mean, they are going to lose it. And they do every time. Look at Greece. Look at how painful it has been for them already with the austerity measures. And then you do something like this in any other city around the world, not just Athens, not just Greece as a country. You do this in Illinois, for example, you're going to have some upset people. They're talking about the budget problems, the underfunded employee pension programs going on. They have too much debt, and it seems like that's a trend all over the U.S. A year after organizing, the organization sounded the dire warning about the widening gap between assets and obligations. The picture has improved just slightly. Look at this. This is state-run retirement systems reporting a shortfall of $34 billion in fiscal 2014. You're talking about nearly $1 trillion in the U.S. of shortfall. That can't be paid back. That can't be rescued. I mean, it's ridiculous. And people are relying on the pensions. They're literally their whole livelihood. If that pension doesn't come through, they're screwed. And a lot of people, you know what, hold on to that thought. just look at this first. State pension funding gap between 1997 and 2014, and you could see it's been increasing over these years. There is no doubt that what's happening with pensions is no different than what's happening in any other sector. More debt, more accumulation, at the same time you get less for it. So no matter what it is, you're basically getting something worse, but you're paying more for it. Illinois still has 146,000 fewer people working compared with before the Great Recession. I thought we were in a recovery. I thought employment was doing better, there were more jobs. Well, it's actually not the case. You know, you can't just average out a whole country, particularly one as big as the US in terms of its population, and just try to create averages. It doesn't work like that. There are pockets, and you can see this is one example of the areas which unfortunately aren't doing well. Okay, so we're looking at this. Feed me, the Illinois pension system. I like this cartoon. I think it's pretty funny. But the reason I mention it is really just to have a brief moment to talk about something that never gets enough attention, not going to get attention in the mainstream media, and actually I would say that most in the alternative news for some reason don't cover this. Why? Why does the stock market continue to rise? We are seeing this, all the quantitative easing has been pushing up the market and everything else. And then you look at the pension funds. The pension funds are unfunded liabilities at this time. They are somehow going into the negative. They've been performing absolutely terribly, pretty much across the board. But the stock market has been rising. What is the cause of this? I would assure you that what is happening is a detriment to the people. People are relying on this. It is unfortunately not going to do well. And I do believe that they will engage in reforming these programs. People are going to get screwed over out of their pensions, and we will have civil unrest. This is not a good sign, and I would suggest that everybody keeps their eyes peeled on what the pension funds do in the near future. This is the last thing I needed to mention this right here. Chicago's homicide surge in context. Look, they're not the #1, so therefore everything is just fine. This is just one city, Chicago. You compare that to St. Louis, Baltimore, Detroit. What I would suggest to everyone is that the areas where the economy is doing poorly, oftentimes you have the crime rate that is unfortunately getting worse. So how do you reduce the crime rate? Do you put more police on the street? Do you put the military on the street? Or do you try to increase prosperity? Small measures could actually decrease the crime rate, but that's not the way it works. They want the crime, they want the drugs, they want the situation to get much, much worse because they want to put the military on the streets, they want to put the police, they want to invade our privacy and our liberty, and they can do so by not fixing the problem, but by aggravating it. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my new release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually look through these books. The first one is about the 4 asset classes and how to profit from them. And then my new release is about reducing your monthly expenses and becoming self-sufficient. So definitely check these out at Amazon. The link is in the description below. If you want the audiobook, maybe you're not into reading or you don't have the time, you want to listen in the car or on your phone, then I have the audiobook for Global Economic Collapse that's available at themoneygps.com. Take care.